everyone, our readers and viewers. I'm here today with none other than Rekha Sethi, the Director General of the All India Management Association, also known as AIMA. It is the apex body for management in India. Prior to joining AIMA, Rekha worked with India's premier industry organization, the Confederation of Indian Industry, for 17 years. She's also on board for some of India's leading organizations today, where she has brought forth her business and management acumen. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us today. It's really nice to have you here.
Pleasure being with you. Thank you for having me.
So I'll jump right into it, ma'am. How did your journey first begin into management? Was it something that you always knew you would be into?
Very honestly, starting my life's journey, I had really no idea what I wanted to do, and management was definitely not in my radar screen at that time. But management is something which is all pervasive. It starts from home. You watch your mother manage the household, and I guess you realize that every single thing in life means management, whether you're managing your children, whether you're managing your home, whether you're managing, going somewhere for a vacation. Management is all pervasive. So having said that, I joined an organization called CDOT, which was at that time one of the revolutionary organizations in India, because they were coming out with an indigenous telephone system, a very forward-looking, very free-thinking organization. I guess I got my first exposure of management there. The kind of people I met, it was led by Ampitroda, who's known as the father of telecom in India. His way of managing CDOT and getting people together and getting them to produce something which perhaps would have been impossible to think about, especially from a government organization or a quasi-semi-government organization, which CDOT was. So, you watch these people, even continuing with my journey with CII, I met a lot of, senior leaders, heads of states, CEOs from all walks of life. When you're exposed to such people from an early age, you understand really what management is, because they've come a long way, not because of their strength in this area. So I guess all these people, all these let me say opportunities helped me to understand what management was. So when I got selected for AIMA, I guess it exposed me to a more formal view of management. We are into management education. We help corporates, to do advanced management programs. So I guess that has been my journey as far as management is concerned. The ironic part is that I head a management organization, but I'm not an MBA.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So, just to trace back to when you first started and coming back to today, how things are, how do you observe the management industry has progressed? Like, what changes do you observe?
Actually, the management industry has completely revolutionized, because earlier the manager's job was to really, and it was a hierarchical structure where you got your people reporting to you to comply to certain vision which the companies had. But I think that's moved completely. I mean, that's changed completely over the years, and it has become more of a mentee relationship now between managers and people who report to them. Also, I think technology has brought in a lot of change. Now good managers need to know what AI means, for example, or what machine learning means, and knowing what the digital aspect of technology is very important for every manager. So I think there's a complete sea change as far as the job of a manager and management is concerned, which is for the good.
Right. And what are some challenges that you had to face throughout your journey?
I think everybody faces challenges. I don't think I know anyone who doesn't. So my first challenge was to find a focus in life, which I did. when I joined the Confederation of Indian Industry. I was handling mega events then. I was handling trade fairs, both for bastions of, male dominance, let me put it that way. You had to deal with vendors, you had to work crazy hours, you had to work for trade fairs during the night. So this was not something which women in, say, the 19s really did, for example. So it was a challenge to prove myself that I can do this job. And I went on to head the trade fairs in CII. It was a challenge when I joined AIMA because you're suddenly responsible for a whole organization and a whole lot of people. What you do and how you conduct yourself, a lot depends. Their career and their future depends upon you in a sense. So that was
Right.
a challenge. I was a woman director general in my mid 40s when AIMA was used to much older gentlemen from the armed forces who were major generals. So, establishing myself and gaining the trust of my staff was a big challenge, which I faced. Going on in life, I think when I joined company boards, it was a challenge to make my voice heard because I was very new to the job. I mean, I had never really worked in a company before. But I think all these challenges you overcome, and I think you come out stronger.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, what are some milestones or achievements that you're most proud of?
Um, I would say what I really feel strongly about and I'm most proud of is what I have managed to achieve with AIMA. AIMA was always a tremendous organization. It had a very solid content based, but what I felt we were lacking at that time was a profile. And it was a challenge which one overcame. We have built a profile for ourselves, not just with our members, with Indian industry, with the government, and with the political leadership of the country. Apart from that, I think I feel one of my major achievements has been shifting to the digital way of working during COVID. Like everybody else, we were working from home, and for about 10-15 days we were just drifting. We really didn't know what would be the way forward. Will it last for a few days? Will it last for months? So then I met with my senior colleagues and I said, look, either we can just carry on like this and leave it to God and to COVID to decide what our fate is going to be, or we decide to change ourselves. And if we decide to change ourselves, then we have to change from top to bottom. So within, I would say, a period of 15 days, I think we were completely digital. So I would say that within, say, 20-25 days of lockdown, AIMA had turned into a digital organization. We run one of the largest tests for entry into business schools in the country called the Management Aptitude Test, or MAT. It's a computer-based test and it's a paper pencil test.
Right.
Converted MAT into an internet-based remote proctored test, which means that you can sit at home and take the test. So students can now take MAT sitting at home, and that happened within a pace of, let's say, 10 days or 15 days. We completely converted to digital events. We started something called a Leaders Speak series, and I remember at the peak of lockdown, we did 5 such programs on 5 days, which is unthinkable now because everybody is back at work. But at that time, we had a full house. I mean, we had over 1,000 people logging on every day. And some of these events, we are still continuing online. Some of the pan-India competitions, which we used to do earlier for students and for young managers all over the country, we used to have competitions, we used to have case studies. So now those are continuing in their digital format. So I think for an organization like AIMA, when I joined, people didn't even use email here. It's been what, when lockdown happened, it was 12 years into 10 years or 12 years into my tenure here. For the entire organization to go online within 15-20 days is, I think, a major achievement. Not just mine, very honestly, it's everybody's.
A collective effort, but yeah.
It's a collective effort, but you know, yeah,
To be able to, yeah,
amazing.
initiate that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yes, really.
It was an amazing period for all of us.
Yeah. That actually brings me to my next question. You've kind of built this empire at AIMA, like bringing people together, and
Higher.
yeah, like that's what I would say. Like that's how I'm inspired by you in that sense. Like I've seen you build an empire. So I want to know, like, what do you think defines good leadership for you? Like, how do you bring that leadership from yourself?
I think leadership is getting people to do what you think your end objective
Mm,
is, and getting them involved in it and getting them inspired into doing it themselves.
mm,
So
mm,
I think what I did was to have a vision and take people along with me,
mm,
whether it was my staff or my members or any other stakeholders, whether it was the media or the government. So I think that is what leadership ultimately has to be, because on your own, you are nothing. You have to work with people, you have to inspire people. They are the ones who achieve what they do.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
good to get the credit for it, but to be very honest, it's a collective effort, as you just said.
yeah, yeah.
I think leadership is something which inspires.
Mm, yes, yes. So how do you stay on top of your game every day? Like there's so much that you're doing.
One, I'm addicted to my mobile. So if I get an email, I have to answer it immediately.
Uh,
But jokes aside, I think, you know, for a leader, one of the basic qualities you need to have is to learn to trust people and delegate. If you
mm,
try and do everything on your own,
mm,
you you can never be on top of it.
mm,
So you have to trust people, you have to let go,
mm.
and you have to believe in them.
Right.
And the other is, I would say that, keeping good health
Mm,
and keeping a good lifestyle is something which helps you to put in much more. So one should not forget your own health, uh,
right.
you know.
Right. Yes. Important. So like there are highs, 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 and then there must be some lows as well, as with anyone. So how do you deal with those low, like those negative emotions?
I think, as you grow older in life, you come to terms with those negative emotions.
Mm,
I Life dealt me a body blow when I lost my dad at a very young age. I
mm,
think till then I never really grew up. I think I grew up the day I lost him. So after losing a parent, I think rest of the challenges, rest of the lows just feel part of life. I think
mm,
it's a tremendous lesson that you learn. And I think you need to realize and understand that, there will be lows. You cannot be perfect all the time. You cannot deliver all the time. I think if you're perfect, if you have no one cribbing at you and saying that you haven't done something, you're not really doing anything, because the only way that uh, you can achieve something is by taking challenges, moving on. And if you, I mean, very honestly, if something doesn't work out, it doesn't. So I think it's more in the mind really than anything else.
mm. For the mindset. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
And
because I'm not perfect. I tell myself I'm not perfect. And
yeah.
once you tell yourself that, and once you actually believe that you're not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
then you will make mistakes. But
Mm,
I think the thing is not to get bogged down by those mistakes. You
mm,
have to keep moving on. It's better to take a decision.
mm.
It may be a wrong one. It could be a wrong one in maybe 20 out of 1 out of 20 times it could be a wrong decision. But 19 out of 20 times you've taken the right decision.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah.
to remember that.
Mm.
So
Nice.
I don't let failures bog me down anymore. I did.
Mm,
Like I said, I think it's also, as you mature, as you grow older, you realize what is priority in life for you.
mm,
And you realize that, you can't let every small thing get you down.
mm.
It does get you down, but you have to brush yourself off and move on.
Yeah, yeah. Good for you. And how would you define an empowered woman? What is your definition of one?
Um, who empowers a woman? I think she has to
Mm,
empower herself.
mhm,
I think a woman who has dreams, who has a vision, who has focus and wants to achieve that focus, those dreams, is an empowered woman. She doesn't let anyone stop her. She does not let any obstacles come in her way. She's a thinking woman.
Mm.
She is a woman who has complete confidence in herself.
Mm.
She doesn't need a man or anybody else to say that you're great, to know that she's great. I
Mm.
think all women are great. I think
Mm.
they have much more maturity and much more focus than a man has. It's been unfortunate that the chances that a woman is given are limited, because a woman is also a housewife. She's a mother.
Mm.
She has a lot many more roles than a man has.
Mm.
He has to take care of a lot many things.
Okay.
But I think every woman has to empower herself. She doesn't have to be wait to be empowered.
Mm. And what would you say is your success mantra?
Um, I would say my relationships.
Mm.
My job is really relationship, relationship, relationship. I have grown up in CII where I've met a whole lot of people. Um, AIMA is similar.
Mm.
I think what has helped me in life is my relationships, whether it's with my stakeholders, which is my members, CEOs, government, or relationships with my staff, with my family.
Mm.
So I credit my relationships to what I am today. And
Mm.
I think I tell my nephew who's just joined college in the US that, you know, you really need to focus on all your relationships, whether in college or with your family or with your friends.
Mhm.
Ultimately, relationships are the one which make all the difference.
Mm. Yes. And my last question for you would be, like, do you have any words of advice for women aspiring to be someone like you in the management industry?
I would say live your dream.
Mhm.
We are living in very different times now. When I was growing up, I don't think women had the kind of focus that we have now.
Mhm.
There are a lot more opportunities. There's a lot of, I think, like women can do so much more now than what we could maybe 20 years back or 25 years back.
Right.
So I think sky is the limit. Shoot
Hmm.
for it.
Yes. Great. That was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me on this
Yes.
conversation.